Now, obviously, we've done a lot of Diddy coverage recently, and this is going to be one that's different, okay? There's a lot of very, very interesting stuff on this Diddy thing right now. We're going to look at this video over here, which is former U.S. Attorney Brett Tolman talking about how Diddy and Jeffrey Epstein ran identical blackmail rings, okay? And when he talks about it and you actually listen, it's like, this is dead on right here, okay? And then we're going to talk specifically about a few people who we are very confident probably were on the wrong end of a blackmail operation that Diddy did not personally, press them on, because it's like he gets raided, he's in prison, boom, suddenly, all of a sudden, these people that we know are on these tapes are out doing things that they almost certainly had to be blackmailed into. So we're going to look at that. And then this is insane, okay? Like I watched this today and I was like, oh my God, I have to show this to my audience, okay? So this is the Punisher. This is one of the guys who was one of the escorts that was being hired to, to be with Cassie in front of Diddy. And the way he describes what was going on in there is fascinating, okay? Like really for real. Like this goes beyond, what were they doing in Freakoffs? Because he actually is like a normal dude. And he's like, he explains exactly how these things were set up, exactly how they would interact with each other. He had no idea that it was Diddy. Okay. He had no idea it was Cassie. He had no idea it was Diddy. And he talks about it with a level of honesty that I was like, this is really fascinating. I'm going to share this with my audience because it's mind blowing. Like it's really bizarre. I don't even want to step on any of it. Just trust me. If you have any faith in my ability to assess what you guys will find interesting, then trust me on this. You're going to want to watch this. All right. So let's jump right into it. Go ahead, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. I appreciate you guys. And we're going to go ahead and handshake it like we do. That if you're going to watch my content, you will just click subscribe. It takes 1 second. And then you will also like this video if you don't mind also. All right. So we're going to start right here with the intelligence officer or the U.S. attorney talking about how this was an intelligence operation. And then we're going to discuss. Let's watch. I'm going to watch it all the way through and then we'll discuss it.
Do you think that there's some type of like protection mechanism that's going on here? And the reason why I would ask that is not just outlandishly. So there's a record executive named Suge Knight who has done multiple interviews saying that Diddy was a Fed and that he was an FBI agent. He knew Diddy. He was in business with Diddy. And he's currently in prison, so I'm not sure what value he would have to say this. I believe that he's saying this honestly, that Diddy was a Fed and that Diddy worked for the FBI and that part of this was part of this had some type of government fingerprints on it. What do you think about that?
I don't doubt Suge Knight. I don't think he has a reason to come forward with information. I've seen Suge Knight have before some solid information about corruption, and so it's not surprising. I think there's a pattern here, though. You see Epstein, you see others. There's rumors that float around that they worked, with the government agencies at times, and I would not doubt that. I would not doubt that there were CIA operations or FBI operations that were ongoing over the many decades in which many times these individuals were operating, criminally. And you go back to Epstein, and I was flabbergasted at the deal that, my colleague and friend, Alex Acosta, the U.S. attorney at the time in Florida, offered to Epstein. I mean, the only reason that you would believe that such a deal would be granted in that kind of a case and investigation was if there was solid information. Of course, we'll never know at this point, but there had to have been some solid information about some very high level targets in order to give such a deal to an individual that was such a criminal.
Yeah, I think that is a very, very fair assessment. All right. And here's the thing, right? So when you're talking about who's protected and why, okay, like who's protected and why, it's obvious, okay? It's obvious when they are because they're able to run this kind of deal for as long as they were. Now, Diddy, it wasn't as out in the open what he was doing, but Epstein, are you kidding me? Do you guys know about that case? Like if you're watching the Diddy, like this is a Diddy video, so it's possible, that like I don't have total crossover with my Epstein people. But if you don't know the details of the case that was against Epstein when he got that deal, okay, this is unbelievable. It's still unbelievable when you even talk about it, okay? Like Epstein was the subject of a massive sting operation that was run by local Florida authorities. And what he had done is he had basically turned like he was getting these high school girls, okay? Like we're talking like 15-year-old high school girls who would come over under the auspices that they were going to give him a massage. Oh, it's some rich guy who likes to get massages. Yeah, they'll pay $200, lots of money to a 14-year-old poor girl. And they're like at the poor high school. They would go over there. They would give him give him a massage. He'd pay him the $200. He'd be like, hey, and by the way, the massage was like, not just a massage at all. He would, start as a massage and then he would push it and push it and push it and push it. Then he would take it from him, Like, I don't know what would happen if a girl was just like screamed and left. But here's the thing, dude. What's the likelihood that a girl who was willing to take $200 to go to some rich guy's house to give him a massage when they're 15 is likely to push back if he's like, I will, he just turns over, like he would just turn over and he'd just be butt naked. And he's like, yeah, go ahead and do that. Go ahead and do that. They're, oh, I'm not comfortable. He's like, oh, you're not comfortable? You're talking about a master manipulator. You are talking about a person who literally professionally manipulated and tricked the most powerful, intelligent people on the planet. You really think that a 15-year-old girl from the ghetto is going to be able to get out on the other side of this without doing what he wants them to do? Okay, he would trick them, and they would end up doing it, and then once he's got them, he turned them out, dude. And so then they would go, and he would incentivize them to go get other girls who wanted to give massages, okay? And he turned this into like a daisy chain, and ultimately he had done this to like 250 girls, dude, okay? It might have even been more than that, but hundreds of girls, okay? And when he got caught and it was going to trial with all these victims ready to talk, they offered him a plea deal of he had to plead to a single count of soliciting from a minor, and that's it, okay? He had not only solicited from hundreds of them, he had, like, there's all kinds of other charges that were coming in. Obviously, they were entrapping them. They were tricking them. Ghislaine Maxwell was the one who was like, with the other girls and facilitating all this stuff. He'd be up there. They just over and over and over and over and over. They turn these girls out, and then guess what they do? You know what I mean? So, like, this is the thing. For him to get a deal like that is obviously someone hits the U.S. attorney from on high, right? And here's the thing so when he pled to that, you know what his punishment was? 1 year imprisonment with the guidelines that at the place that he was imprisoned, he could leave 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. Okay. He also was allowed to travel for work to Little St. James. That's his island, to New York. Okay. How is he being imprisoned if he's in New York? He's not, right? So this was like a fake sentencing. He did not, like, it was fake. The whole thing was absurd. How on earth could he get a deal like that? Okay. And think about this too. Even after he's dead, okay? Even after he's dead, you have Kash Patel and you have Dan Bongino, who literally came in, on the Trump team, like, the first thing we're doing is we are going to expose the Epstein files. And they get in, and within a couple months now, they're like, nah, he really did. Actually, Epstein really did. He killed himself, guys. And you're like, what is this thing? You know what I mean? Like, what's really behind this? Where, like, our biggest champions who are going to uncover this whole thing, they flipped like that. Instantaneously. They get on the other side. What I think is it was likely a U.S. intelligence operation, okay? And, like, when you get on the other side of the fence a lot of the time, you find out things, you find things out that, change your perspective. And so maybe they get over there and it's like, look, this is one of the most high-end classified operations we've ever run, but we've been doing this for decades. This is how this is one of our critical components of control in the globe, is we entrap these people who wield tremendous power, and then, we can make calls on them. And it's like, if the certain type of person, certain level of person has this conversation with you, it's like, look, and if you guys put this information out, you want to know what's going to happen? Chaos. Because here is how we keep this person in line. You want to see the video? This is the video that we've got on that guy. Okay, you want to know what we use it for? This. And it's going to be this big conversation about greater good, greater good, greater good, greater good. And it's like, you just have no idea what's on the other side of that. And the Diddy thing, this one was not as high end, but this is obvious, okay? This is obvious. Why is it important for someone like Diddy, who is associated with the same people, to have dirt on all these entertainers, okay? Now, do they wield tremendous power like the people who were in the Jeffrey Epstein story? Do they have dirt on Bill Gates as an example? Who controls the entire global health apparatus, right? We know they had dirt on him. I think they did him. Melinda Gates left Bill Gates and said it's because of Jeffrey Epstein and because of the things. And you can ask Bill why. And she won't even start to, she has nothing to do with him. She left the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and has openly said it's because of the Jeffrey Epstein situation between Bill and Jeffrey Epstein, but she won't say anything beyond that. And she says she empathizes with these poor girls. My theory is they did Bill as a demonstration. Like, you think we won't do these guys? And they did Bill Gates, and then whatever they wanted from whoever they were really doing probably immediately gave them what they wanted. Interesting timing, by the way. That happened right when Jeffrey Epstein was in prison, right before, so maybe Bill Gates had him killed. Or maybe it was something else, and they walked him right out the front door pretending that he had, But on the Diddy stuff, it's important with the entertainers because if entertainers, you give them this massive reach, right, where they can reach millions and millions and millions and millions of people. And during the pandemic, they start coming out and being like, hey, did you know that they did no human trials on the blah, blah, blah? Hey, did you know that they're saying this game, but gain of, you know what I mean? Like, they start saying things that you don't want them to say. It's like, you need a mechanism to be like, you need to shut up, dude. Okay. You need to shut your stupid mouth. We gave you this platform. We can take it away. Unless you just want us to take your family away, or you want us to take away everything if we show them this video. Hey, what do you think? What do you think people will think of you, gangster rap guy, if they saw you going down on that dude? What do you think? Think you're going to be able to maintain the situation you're in if I show them that? And they're like, nope. You know what I mean? Nope, probably not. I will probably lose everything if anyone ever sees that. It's like, yeah, that's correct. You will. And then, okay, you have multiple people going into the election that were like, I am not getting involved in politics. I'm not going to get involved. And then all of a sudden, Diddy gets raided and boom. They are on stages, okay? Very involved, She's a hero. He's a monster. You're a racist. You guys are racist. You literally just said that you loved the other guy. You said you loved him. Now he's a racist? Yes, he is. Did someone get to you? Does this have anything to do with the hard drives that were seized from Diddy's house? Does that have anything to do with why all of a sudden you're doing the exact opposite of what you said you were going to do very recently? So all that did for me is verify that the people that the big guy was running against are exactly who I thought they were. I don't know who they are personally, but they are exactly what I thought they were. They are the people that wield this kind of power over people, that will blackmail people, so on and so forth, etc. Now, let's move over to this right here. Okay, so this is the Punisher, and I just want to give you, like, I really, this is such a fascinating interview that I really am not, I'm not going to show you very much of it because as much as, I don't know if you guys know how this works, but it's fair use, okay? Like, I can show you as much of this as I want, as long as I'm giving commentary throughout the whole thing, but I'm not going to do that because I don't want to step on this guy's video. It's excellent, but I want to show you some of it so that we can comment on it, okay? So this is him talking about what it was like, doing these freak-offs with Diddy and Cassie.
Beginning, you didn't even know what was going on, that it was even Puff was participating. Could you explain your first time going to one of these events?
Yeah, so I really believed they were a married couple. Like, when I got there, I didn't recognize Cassie.
Right.
Like, I saw her face, she looked familiar, but honestly, when I saw her, I thought she was Megan Good.
Right.
Like, if I was gonna pin, I was like, yo, I think this is Megan Good. But then when I looked on the Google, Megan Good was much thicker. So I couldn't really figure it out. So, and then when she said her husband, when Puff walks out to finally, do his voyeur thing and see what's going on.
So hold on real quick. It didn't start with Puff in the room.
Nah, it never started with him in the room.
Okay.
It would only be me and her. And she said at some point, her husband's going to walk in and I'm not supposed to acknowledge him, look at him, act like he's not even in the room.
Right.
So we'll be like on a couch, let's say on one end of the room, and then like on the far end of the room, it'll be like a table with a chair. And eventually he'll come in the room and like sit in the area, of course, the room, like watching, and we're supposed to act like he's not there.
That's crazy. Like that never dawned on me, but they're supposed to act like he's not there. Okay. This is the thing. They're going to get into a conversation. It might've been before this actually, about the difference between a voyeur and a cuck. Okay. So the dude interviewing him, he's like, yo, man, let's just start calling him what he is. He's a cuck, right? And he's like, well, he called it voyeur. And he's all, no, but he's a cuck. It's like, no, he's a voyeur. Like, let me just clarify that. Okay. He's a voyeur. Okay. The fact that it's his girl, that doesn't make him a cuck, dude. The cucks like to be humiliated. Okay. Like they want the fantasy for them is being humiliated. That's why, like, God, I always forget. I always put gum in my mouth, and then I realize I'm like, okay, I can't do this with gum in my mouth. So the cuck fantasy thing is that they're basically restrained, or that the dude who's with their wife is someone that they couldn't overpower if they want to, and they're helpless, and they're like, oh my God, that's like, in my opinion, I think that's why there's always like, I don't know how much you guys pay attention to this stuff, but a big kind of theme on that is like black dudes. They love like these, white like couples, and they love having it be black dudes. And I think that's like some weird like thing in their brain where it's like, oh man, I just can't. They're like, they wear like these weird chastity belts. Like they want to be humiliated. Voyeur is very different. It's the exact opposite of that. Okay. Like he wants to watch, but he's the one that's in total control. Okay. Like this is a power move. That's why it's like, that's why I always feel like I need to like, separate it. Is like the cuck thing is they're helpless, right? The voyeur thing is the opposite. It's like, yeah, go do that. I'm going to watch you, like do that shit. And he knows that at any time he can just shut it down. They're performing for him. He's the one who's in control. He's the power in the room. Okay. It's not the same thing at all. It's actually diametrically opposite, because like the cuck, like it's like, the cuck thing is like, he couldn't make it stop if he wanted to. It's kind of like that is how they like to think about it. It's like, I wish I could stop this, but I can't. That's like the weird humiliation fetish. It's like, the Glenn Greenwald thing that just came out. I mean, I was able to find some of the video, and that's what that is. That's like a, I'm getting punked thing, right? Like that's a I'm getting punked thing. This is the opposite. Like, this is like, you do whatever the fuck I tell you to do, including Cassie, have sex with another guy in front of me. Like I tell you to do that, you do that, and I'll watch. And the more innocent she was at the beginning, the better, right? That's why I was saying, I think that's why he liked her, is because she looked innocent. You know what I mean? All right. So I pushed forward just a little bit because now they start getting into more like interesting details about like how this stuff went down. So check this out.
I seen also in the transcripts that you said it was just supposed to be like a sexy scene, meaning that Puff would tell you to move the candles a certain way, or tell her to move the candles a certain way for lighting purposes for his visual. Could you explain that?
Yeah. So like when I first got in there, she made it clear that this was a scene we were setting up for her husband.
Okay.
So,
Told you.
It was like couches, all the furniture in the suite was covered in sheets. Like everything was covered in sheets. So it was like a single chair across from like a big sofa. And we were supposed to sit on there and kind of, I'm supposed to put oil on myself. She's supposed to do the same. And then at some point we'll rub it on each other. You could tell it was act.
Right.
Like we're like in character, like one of them corny Cinemax movies. You know what I'm saying? Like right. The sex scene in them little Cinemax movies. So we're trying to make it look like the part, and then he would give subtle cues because he's across the room and the room's dark, everything's candle lit. And he'll say like, yo, move a little bit, yo, move the candle, I can't really see, or move the body. And he would never talk to me, not one word to me, only to her. And if it's instructions for me, it goes to her and she tells me. So it was like a real scripted kind of routine. And it really went like that every single time.
I told you, dude. See, I told you. He never talks to the dude, man. He talks to her and then she tells the dude. Like there's a pecking order. It's like he's in control of Cassie Like, he's in control of Cassie. Cassie's in control of the guy. Like, it's the opposite of the cuck thing. And how weird is that, dude? Okay? Like, that is just bizarre to me because, okay, have any of you guys ever been to a live, like a live sex show? Because I have once, and it was when I was 18 years old. I was in Amsterdam, all right? And I was there with, like, you know, my friends. Like, when I graduated high school, me and a few of my friends had saved money, like, for like 2 years, and we went on a trip to Europe. We went to Amsterdam, Barcelona, etc. But while we were in Amsterdam, we went to a live sex show, and it was so weird, dude. Like, when I say there's nothing hot about it, like, at least for me, like, I'm talking like zero hot, like where I wanted to get out of there immediately. Like, it was just like, you know, all right, they're like on a stage, bro. There's no connection between them at all. They're like two robots. They're all, you know, there's like no connection. Super weird. Matter of fact, 100% true story on my children's lives. This is a fact. Okay. On the way up the section. So like, we got grabbed by a dude. We were like in the red light district. Some dude like was all, hey, you guys want to come see a live, whatever. You know, we're 18 years old. We're all right. You know, I'm stoned out of my mind, dude. I couldn't even see straight. So I'm freaking out anyway, right? Because if you guys know me, if you guys have been watching me for a long time, you know, like, I don't like smoking weed was for a very long time, really not my shit. It gives me anxiety. So like, I'm paranoid out of my mind, you know? What am I doing? Like, what are we doing here? We're walking up the stairs, and this dude like walked out of this, like, as we're going up the stairs, he like walked out of this door. He's in like these like sparkle like booty shorts. Is the dude, right? And he goes, ooh, hey, to me. He's like, hey, maybe later, maybe me and you, we dance later. And I literally didn't even respond. I just looked at him and was like, and just kept going up the stairs. That was the dude in the show with the girl. Okay. Some weirdo, like HIV positive, like crackhead who had hit on me on the way in was the dude who's on the stage. There's like maybe 3 other people who are like in the crowd or whatever. And all of them are just like, okay, like, this is the most blazed out of my mind I've ever been. And we were the most sober people there. Okay. It's not hot. It's fucking gross. So like, the fact that kind of thing turns Puff on, where there's like, they're just like following directions, is so weird, man. Anyway, let's listen to some more of this though.
So he was basically orchestrating a sex scene without directly talking to you, but telling her certain things.
Exactly.
Wow. Crazy. I seen also in the transcript, or I actually heard you talk about this, that Puff will have the Muslim mask on and be naked from the neck down. What was that like? Pause.
Bro, that was like the weirdest shit ever.
Right.
Hold on. That's hilarious. If you guys missed that had to have been on a teleprompter, dude, right? Because he's all, what was that like? Pause. And you're all, no, you're not supposed to read that part, dude. I think, dude. I mean, unless that's like a weird thing people do that I'm unaware of, is he's all pause. Pretty sure he was reading that, right? It's like he's reading a script. It says pause.
I'm saying, like, it's already weird knowing like a dude's coming in the room, you know? But, you know, I'm messing with the chick, and mind you, I'm seeing all this peripheral.
Right.
So it's extra crazy because it's not straight on. So it's at the corner of my eye. I'm like, yo, this dude got on like a veil. And he's half the time he's beating off and he's walking side to side. So it was definitely a difficult space to try to be in. But I ain't gonna front, bro. At the time, I'm greedy. I want this bread. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at the scenario and I'm trying to make it work. But
right.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop this right here because as I'm watching this, I realize the next part is probably the most interesting part, I think. But the way that they discuss it, I'm not going to be able to show, okay? But I want to explain to you exactly what he says, okay? So first of all, the dude who's doing the interview, he's like, hey, how was that though? You know, like about Cassie. He's like, how was that pee, son? He's like, tell me how that pee was. And the guy's like, and he's like, dude, I don't know. I don't want to. He's like, no, man. Hey, you from the Bronx? Tell me about that pee. And the dude's like, I'm going to be straight with you. Okay. I can't tell you because I could never get into it. He's like, dude, because especially once I figured out that it was Puff, it's like, dude, I've heard a lot of rumors about this dude. He's like, so in my mind, I'm thinking like, dude, is this guy going to all of a sudden come at me? Like, is he going to come at me? He's like, and then also we're like performing for this other dude, man. He's like, we're like performing for him. So like, I can't connect with her at all. He's like, I can't connect. When he said that, I realized, I'm like, he's right. Now, it's not even like a matter of like personal, I don't know, experience or whatever, or like how you, but if you, okay. The way that most girls like to have it done is the dude is the person who, I mean, not all girls, but the majority of the girls that I've ever been, like, they want to have the dude in control. So like, they feel out of control and safe at the same time. Okay. Now, girls in the comments, you can verify that or you could push back on that. Okay. But if you really break down how a girl wants to feel in that environment, they want to feel powerless and safe simultaneously. Okay. If you make a girl feel powerless and safe at the same time, that girl is going to let you do that a lot, dude. Okay. And so here's the thing. In order to be able to make them feel safe while you're also, doing, like where you're like, hey, I'm taking your hands from you now, like I'm taking away your hands, but they're like, oh my God, I'm restrained and I can't move. And at the same time, they're like, but I'm not scared. I'm safe and I'm powerless. Okay. Well, you have to be able to like be the dominant person in the room to do that. Right. So if you have some overlord who's watching you and they're like, hey man, do that. How you have to be the power energy in the room. Like you have to be the one who's in control, or else how are you going to do that? It's just some weird thing where you're just grabbing their hands. You're all, and like, if you ask any girl, God, I don't even know how to even say this stuff without it being super weird, but like dudes that just think that like if they're all, they just robot slam it, that like, oh, that's what a girl wants. Just pound it, just fucking pound it. No, that's not correct. So even if a dude's all, now pound it, that doesn't mean that the girl's going to like that, dude. It's like a energetic thing. Some girls might not realize that because they've never been with a dude who actually knows how to fuck. You know what I mean? But like with Puff in the room, a person who knows how to do these things, it completely takes their power away, which is why he likes that, dude. Like, that's why he likes that. He takes their power away. He takes everyone's power away, and he just gets to watch and direct people. He's a psycho, man, in my opinion, But I feel weird because I can't really say, I can't explain this correctly. I'm just going to cut this off. We've been talking long enough. I love you guys. Subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, go watch this video. Bye-bye.